So we are going to see how we can debug the DNS records, especially type A records or A name records. But before understanding how to debug the DNS record, you need to understand how exactly the DNS works. Okay, then only you will be able to debug the DNS records. So for that, I have prepared one simplified diagram which will help you understand how exactly the DNS works. Let's say this is your computer and you're opening the Chrome browser and you want to open one website called xyz.com. Then in that case, how computer will show you the xyz.com website? Because your computer doesn't know where the website is hosted. Is it hosted on the server 1? Is it hosted on the server 2? Or is it hosted on the any random server in the world? So in that case, what it does is computer will send request to the DNS and it will say, give me address for the xyz.com. Then DNS will say, okay, this is the address for the xyz.com. Once computer got the address for xyz.com, then it will send connection request to that particular server where the address is, and then it can access the website. Okay, as simple as that. So this connection looks fairly simple. Okay, like you can say oversimplify. But in our case, while we debug, we cannot work in this direction. Like first this, then second, then third, fourth, then fifth, and then sixth. No, this is now how the debug process works. We need to work in the reverse order. Okay, we need to work in the reverse order. First, we need to access the server, which I have right now, right here in my terminal. Okay, then we need to access the DNS server, or sometimes we don't have the access also. Okay, so in that case, how we can do that? Okay, so let's say I have access for this particular server. Now I want to find whether this xyz.com is pointed to my IP address of the server or not. Okay, first I need to find what is my IP address for this server, then I will see whether this xyz.com is pointed to my server or not. Okay, let's see. So how you can get the IP address? Well, there are two ways. First and simple way is if config command. Okay, so if you add the if config command, which is not added in my system, so let me copy and paste it right here and hit enter button, and it should install the if config command on my server. Okay, now we have the if config command ready. So let me do one thing, let me clear this screen. So let's say clear, and if I do if config, can you see it is showing lot of interfaces, and in one of interfaces this is the IP address, and this is basically my server IP address. So some of you might be like new to the Linux, and some of you might say that okay, this is trash, there is a this, then there is a this, how can I identify the right IP address? So for them I have one simple way. What they can do is they can say curl ipconfig.io. Okay, and it will give you IP address of this server. Simplest method possible. Okay, now you got the IP address of your server. Now you want to find whether this xyz.com is pointed to your server or not. So how you can do that? So you can say, by the way, this xyz is looking too much complicated. Let me change this domain and set to the 1yt.1, which is my domain. Okay, 1yt.1. Okay, now we need to find whether this 1yt.1 is pointed to my server or not. How exactly I can do that? I can open the server terminal one more time and I can say dig. Okay, I can say dig, and first let me say dig, and we will say 1yt.1. Okay, and this will basically show you one record right here. So can you see it is saying 1yt.1 has a name record, and it is pointed to the 204.48.26.198. Can you see it is the exactly same IP address, right? So that means our domain is pointed to the our server and it's fine. Okay, great. What if we search for the another domain? Let's see what we get. So let's say I have one more domain, which is opentfcloud.com. Okay, let me see where it is pointed. Oh, it is pointed to the different server. Can you see it? A name record shows that 24.144.206, whatever it is. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can check if where your domain is pointed. It doesn't have to be your domain, you can check for any domain. Let's say I check for where this special website is hosted. So can you see I'm getting this particular IP address? Okay. Same way we can check any website in the world. But what if the record doesn't exist? Then how it will show? Let me see. So I will open xxyyyzz.com. Okay. Obviously this domain will not have purchaser. That's why this domain will not get the name record as per my knowledge. Okay. Yes, domain doesn't have purchaser. Can you see it is saying xxyyyzz.com is a name record and is not pointed anywhere. There is no IP address right here, but it is parked in this particular address right here, SOA. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can check whether the domain is pointed to your server or not. Okay, now the first thing is complete already. Okay, we found that this particular domain is pointed to the this particular server. Okay, I'm not sure how exactly I can draw that, but let's say this is how it is pointed. Okay, great. So next thing what I need to do is, if the domain is not pointed to this particular server, then how exactly I can point? I can go to the DNS and I can open my ANAME records, and here I can put the IP address. Okay, so this is how I can solve it. Now the next thing is, we need to check if it is making the connections with the your server or not. So let's say I can open one temporary server. So I'll say mkdir tmp. I'll create a temporary directory. I'll cd into the tmp and I will start my website. So here I will create nano index.html, one sample page. Okay, I will say sample page. Okay, there is no need to add any HTML code, or if you want to add, then you can say h1 tag. Okay, you can close this h1 tag, by the way, and here you can open this h1 tag, minimal HTML code. Let me save it and exit it. Now I will start the website for this particular page. How? We can say python, and I will say dash yum http http dot server, and then I will mention the port where I want to host the website, which is port 80. But it is saying Python is not defined, so we need to add in the command python 3. Okay, now it is saying serving at 0.0.0. Whatever it is, and port number 80. Okay, let's access it. Let me go to the my browser and I will say 1yt.1. Okay, I'll say 1yt.1, and let me see if I am able to see the website. Oh, we are not able to see the website. There must be something wrong. Let me do one thing. Let me check directly on the IP if the website is hosted. So I'll say port 80 colon 80, or it doesn't need to be mentioned the 80, because by default it will check on the port 80 only. So when I paste my IP address also, then also the website is not loading. That means something is wrong, because we have already started the server on port 80, but when I open the browser, it is not showing anything. Okay, so what I can do is I can open another command prompt. Okay, another command prompt on my desktop, not on the server. This is on desktop, and I will say ping ping, and then I will say 1yt.1, which is my website IP address. So it is saying yes, it is pingable. That means our server is also up. Then what is the issue? So I'll go to the server, I'll exit from the here, and I'll say what is the issue, because like the browser is also sending the request, server is also receiving the ping, but somehow server is not able to serve the file. That means maybe our port 80 connections are blocked by something, which is firewall. So what we can do is, if you're on Ubuntu, you can do ufw status, and that will give you firewall rules. Okay, the firewall is active and it has only allowed port 22. That's a shame. So what we can do is we can allow the port 80 so that we can see the website. So you can say ufw allow 80, and that will allow the port 80 on the server. So let me execute my this command and start the server one more time, and let me see if this time this shows the IP address shows the website or not. Okay, it is showing. Unfortunately, it is not showing the complete website page, but yeah, it is showing the directory structure where the website is. So yes, we can access it. Now let me go to the domain name and let me refresh it, and let me see if the website is visible. So the refresh is still taking the time and it is not loading. Why? Because it might be possible that in our domain name there is a setting which is set that we need to load only HTTPS website, but our server is using port 80, which is HTTP. So in that case, website will not show. Only if you open on the HTTP version, then only it will show. Otherwise, it will not show. Okay, great. So yeah, this is how you can debug your DNS records. If you have any question, please let me know. I am covering very little points in this particular video. I know the debug process is quite lengthy. It has a lot of aspects, lot of things which we can use while debugging the DNS records. But as of now, yes, this is how you can debug the ANM records, right? In future, definitely I will create videos on debugging the other records also. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next.